video aspect of this almost more than the audio, surprisingly. So
yeah, which I didn't know was going up as video last week. So there
it
were like
wasn't supposed to.
There are 2 or 3 points where I'm very
So that's why you ran
blatantly
and got a
nursing a
haircut.
bottle of bourbon.
Now that we're almost seeing my gym shorts, that's okay.
Yeah.
I have to keep the bottle of bullet like just out of frame for me to get to.
Yeah, it wasn't actually supposed to go up, but it didn't go into private as it was supposed to. Because typically I have it set up so that these will be non-visible unless you actually search for them. So it must have gone into public for some reason, and then we got a bunch of views. So hey, whatever.
So no digging for gold this episode.
Yeah, definitely.
What are your kids' big E3 predictions, Dolly?
Yeah, now I can't say anything now. Stupid. Anyways, all right. And 3, 2, 1. Welcome everybody to the SideQuest E3 2015 special third-party special. This is the final of the 4 shows leading up to E3, and then there's going to be a lot of other fun stuff happening next week. But these 4 shows are have been our prediction shows, and you guys have been watching them and downloading them like crazy, and really want to thank you. You've been getting a lot of cool tweets from people who've been enjoying each one. In fact, my barista, shout out to Dominic, my barista at our local Tim Hortons mentioned listening to the podcast and enjoying them, and I'm like, oh, cool, awesome, that's bizarre, but thank you. So yeah, treat your coffee folks well. Anyways, I'm Dolly Domofsky. Joining me as usual, the lovely Sam Dixon.
Oh, hello. I'm lovely tonight.
The svelte and newly shorn Tom Johnson.
Yeah, how's it going, guys?
The pillar of knowledge, Robin Miller.
Hello.
Robin the Pillar Miller. I don't know if that.
Oh my gosh.
This is the first.
That's my new title.
Yeah, there you go. And for the first time in a while, Dan has been on our show. Dan, the man. You've probably heard Dan the Man a million times, right?
Yeah, I got it from everyone growing up except for girlfriends.
No. Poor Dan. What does your wife call you, Dan? It's like Dan, hey you.
Yeah, it's like, hey you, shut the fuck up.
Where's the baby?
Yeah.
It's going to be a great show today. Like I said, we're going to talk about the third parties with some of our predictions there, and then just general E3 chat, any last-second predictions, and anything that we're looking forward to in E3 in general, maybe even some notes about E3 past, some stories there, which I know a few of us definitely have some great ones. But we're going to dive right into the third-party predictions, and we kind of joked before we started recording, but really, what's left? Everything has been announced, especially today.
They announced like 4 games today.
Yeah, my inbox has been flooded with leaks, with official announcements.
What's that cool looking PTSD one?
Oh, that was the
Hell something.
The new Ninja Theory game, right?
Yeah, the Ninja Theory game, yeah.
Yeah,
Hellblade.
Whoa.
So we had that announced today, or that's been announced, but that's kind of officially revealed. The Hyrule Warriors for 3DS leaked.
Both of the new console SKUs leaked.
Yeah, both the new console SKUs leaked. Mirror's Edge Catalyst leaked. So you guys can just scratch all these off of your predictions list. Actually, Mirror's Edge Catalyst doesn't even leak. It's officially up on Amazon for pre-order. So Merry Christmas.
I was at GameStop today because I was bored and I was at the mall and I had time to kill. And I watched 4 people pre-order Fallout 4, a game that doesn't even have a release date yet.
It's October, and we can talk about that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, since the last time we recorded, Fallout 4 release was announced, so it's always some fun stuff. So who wants to go first with their prediction? Okay, Tom, you go first with your first prediction.
Dishonored 2.
Dishonored 2.
A sequel to a game I did not like.
Really?
Cool.
Oh no, I loved Dishonored. I loved it.
The character movement is way too slow.
Really?
Yeah. I tried to play it. I played it for a while on Xbox, then my Xbox died, and then I tried to play it on PC, and it's just like way too slow. But everyone who played it and finished it loves that game.
Did you play in more stealth or more action oriented?
Oh no, I was killing dudes left and right.
Oh, chaos.
Yeah, chaos. So I ended up playing. I played kind of a somewhere in between chaos and stealth my first time through the game because we were reviewing it for SideQuesting, so I just wanted to kind of try it in the middle. And then I went onto full-on stealth mode and made it through the game. I think I made it through the game without killing anyone, which was...
Oh, so you got that good ending.
Yeah, which is so difficult because a lot of stuff changes. The dynamics of the game change, and there's more enemies to kind of avoid, and things ramp up differently. So I enjoyed it.
Also the rats.
Yes, the rats, exactly, the rats.
And I heard the DLC for that game was just fantastic.
I didn't play any of the DLC, but that's something. Yeah, I mean, I would love if Dishonored, the original Dishonored, came out for these new gen consoles. It was funny because I was so against remasters for like a couple months there, but now because I never got a chance to play or never got a chance to like finish Fallout 3. Sorry, I'm staring at South Park: The Stick of Truth
9
for
hours.
360. So there's a lot of games out there that I wanted to get to that I never got to. So bring it on.
Real talk, like South Park is like 3.5 hours long. You can totally do the game in an evening. Flip the kid some NyQuil, also your wife, and then just play the game.
There you go. Yeah. I would probably fall asleep first. So Dishonored 2. Anybody else want to see Dishonored 2?
I would.
don't.
You don't, Dan?
No. I just couldn't get into Dishonored. It was one of those games where I felt like a complete jerk because I went to a demo with Square and I just kept breaking the demo, and like it got to the point where the devs were looking at me like, "Dude, you're not playing it right." And I'm like, I don't want to pick up these gold things. I just want to kill everyone.
I just want to kill everyone.
I have a bad history with breaking Square demos. Like,
you mean Bethesda or Square? This was Bethesda.
I'm sorry, Bethesda, but like. I have a really bad history with breaking all demos. So it was what I got Dishonored confused with right now was Thief.
Thief. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they're kind of there's some DNA there, yeah.
But I could get into the movement of Dishonored, but I don't have the patience.
Mm-hmm,
I really don't have patience. Like I'm doing The Witcher right now, and like I'm not a patient man. And it's like I just don't like.
You're like, this game is 15 hours, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't need it, and I definitely don't need a remaster. You ask for a remaster of that again, I will hop in my car and drive to Michigan.
Well, since you're so heated about Dishonored, what is your first prediction, Dan Hevia? Throw anything out there.
Silent Hills isn't dead.
Okay.
Silent Hills isn't dead, but this is something that is a third party that I think...
Robin that you want Silent Hills.
I think that it's going to become something that lives and breathes with one of the big two.
Okay.
Nintendo's not big to me anymore, so they're not even at 3.
What if they make it a MOBA?
I'm thinking in my head, all the rumors had it going Microsoft. The rumor was that Microsoft was going to pay billions. That's stupid. It's not like they're not going to pay billions. They paid what, like $2.4 billion for Minecraft? Do you think they're going to be like, oh yeah, we'll throw $2 billion at Silent Hills? No, it's not going to happen. But I do think that Konami probably put out that rumor. And I think that it was Konami trying to... They were probably negotiating with Microsoft, and they were just trying to like tickle Sony and see what Sony would do. So I wouldn't be surprised if Sony sweeps in and has that.
You know what's funny is that we actually predicted that on the last our Sony podcast that Silent Hills would end up being a Sony exclusive.
Yeah, I think I could see it land in there, especially with the amount of issues Sony is having with exclusives.
Mm-hmm.
So that's strong, and that would get a rise out of the crowd at E3.
Oh yeah, definitely, most definitely.
I would probably cry a little bit.
Yeah.
And now two of you have said the exact same thing without prior planning, so there has to be something there,
There's
right?
something. It just,
right?
I think it's I'm in the same kind of line of thinking with Dan. I think something was, although I won't go into the kind of Konami playing Microsoft against Sony a little bit there, but I do think that there were negotiations being made, and I actually do believe that although it wasn't Microsoft, I don't think Microsoft was involved all that much, but I do think Sony came in and they swooped in and kind of grabbed Silent Hills, knowing that they had lost Metal Gear, that Metal Gear 5 is multi-platinum. So, or multi-platform. It'll be multi-platinum as well. It's multi-platform, and Final Fantasy 15 is is it a PS4 exclusive?
No.
Wasn't that co-developed by Sony though? Final Fantasy 15?
No, that's multi-platform as hell. Yeah, I played the
Okay.
demo on Xbox.
Okay, all right. Well,
Yeah.
regardless, I think they definitely need to take some of these bigger franchises back, and I think this was one of them. They lost Tomb Raider, so they need something else.
And Kojima seems like a better fit with Sony than he does with Microsoft, to be honest.
That could be interesting.
just-
Yeah, Kojima working with Sony on this.
Yeah, it just makes more sense to see him with Sony than it does. Like, I just can't see Kojima being like, yeah, Redmond.
I
rock on.
think I wonder if all the monetary issues that Konami was having with console gaming in general was one of the reasons that they pushed Silent Hills away and probably rubbed Kojima the wrong way with it. Good. Silent Hills, another one. Sorry, folks out there. I know you guys are all interested in Silent Hills, so there you go. How about Robin? Since you're a huge Silent Hills fan, what is your and you kind of chimed in there? What is your prediction?
Oh, I have to choose one for now. And because we've already had like the kind of crazy stuff out, I'm going to say that Bethesda will tease the next Elder Scrolls game.
Ooh.
And I'm
Elder
not
Scrolls
expecting
6.
any sort of gameplay footage. I'm expecting a swell of familiar music and then the title. Because, it's been 5 years. It's coming up on 5 years since Skyrim came out in 2011. And then Oblivion was 5 years before that. So the timing's about right. So I will keep my fingers crossed for that.
Especially if the Fallout 4 rumors of it launching this year have, if it's launching this year, they're working on something and they want to keep people in, kind of, excited. And obviously, this is their first press conference at E3, and we already know Doom 4 is coming. We already know Fallout 4 is coming. They may have something Elder Scrolls Online related, but that's still only like 3 games there. And if Dishonored is the 4th game, I mean, this is an hour-long press conference. Even if you're devoting 10 minutes to a game, which is a lot, even if you're devoting 10 minutes to each game, that would be 5 games including an Elder Scrolls 6. So I think that's a fantastic. That was kind of becoming a little bit of a worm in the back of my mind as well. So that's kind of cool. Do you think it's a whole new setting, or you have no idea?
Oh, I have no idea. Hopefully it'll continue with the dragons, because that was my favorite part of Skyrim, and there weren't too many of those in Oblivion.
All right. What about you, Sam? What's your first prediction?
Well, this isn't a game in particular, per se, but I think at EA's press conference this year, we're going to see a lot more like hands-on demos, for sure, than we did last year. I think these games that they were showcasing last year are probably farther along than we think they are, especially with Mirror's Edge maybe coming out this year, even though they like that leak, whatever, it's on Amazon, so who knows. But I think we're definitely going to see like Criterion's new game for sure, if not playable, a trailer of that. But I think really the whole negative reaction of them not showing gameplay and just showing those kind of like weird dev looks at the games that were coming out. I think they'll respond this year by making sure that they have live on-stage demos, and especially. And I mean, I understand last year because you don't want to pull an Ubisoft and have the sort of reaction that the Watch Dogs downgrade had, like amongst everybody.
That's a great point, because sitting through that EA press conference last year. Dan, were you in that EA press conference last year with us? Did you go to that thing?
I believe that I did. I don't really remember. It's all foggy.
It was a foggy press conference because they didn't really show much. They just kind of, they showed the backs of people's heads as they were working on stuff, but that was,
It's like continuous hinting. Like I can't take press conferences like that.
Yeah. But you mentioned that Criterion, the new Criterion game, and we haven't heard anything about that over the last year. So I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a big studio. Burnout Paradise, right? That's what they've been.
Yeah.
That's what they're known for. But yeah, I think that would be good to. I think that'd be good to follow up on. I'm interested because that was a kind of like that weird extreme vehicles, extreme sports vehicles type of thing, right?
Yeah, it seemed like a motocross like versus ATV like sort of game, but they also had cars and they showed a whole bunch of like a helicopter and stuff like that. They showed like extreme sports the game pretty much and was like, all right, we'll talk
It's the
about it later.
The X Games game.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Well, and we know for sure that they're going to be talking about Need for Speed at EA's conference, and they previously worked on that. So I wonder if we'll also hear like, hey, like maybe Criterion's thing is a little bit farther off because we got them to work on Need for Speed for a little bit for us too, because they did work on Most Wanted and Rivals. So there's a chance
Both
that they're
are really
probably
good games, yeah.
yeah, there's a chance that they're probably pulling them because by all accounts the next Need for Speed game seems like it's going to be The Crew, but EA's version of The Crew.
EA's version of The Crew, right. And that'll be this year, are we thinking? Yeah, that's
more
right.
than likely. Yeah,
Yeah, because Rivals was launching. I keep forgetting that the consoles are a year and a half old already. Okay.
Yeah, they gotta start making new ones soon.
They gotta start making. I wouldn't be surprised if they're.
Next to E3.
Well, there were the SKUs, like Tom said, the SKUs have already leaked. So I'm gonna throw one out there. Since we are talking about EA, I'm gonna say Mass Effect 4. We're gonna get that reveal,
Yes.
and that will be. I knew that would get you excited. I think that will be revealed in a lot more detail than we're expecting. You know, I think because they'd been working on it last year. They mentioned some aspects of it, and there was really tiny little tidbits handed to us over the last year, like a quote here and there. But I think this is going to be a pretty big reveal for the game because they're going to have Madden info, they're going to have NBA Live, they'll have the hockey games, FIFA, but those aren't huge. I think they might save some of those things for Gamescom, but I think it's important for them to really get in front of people with Mass Effect, and so I think this is it. I think we're going to see a trailer, and I think the game is going to be a 2016 game, and more than likely, I'm going to throw this date out there. I'm going to say it's March 2016, because by then all the other big games will have made it through, and it'll probably be right up against Uncharted 4 for like release date time frame. But I'm thinking it's this fiscal year for EA. So.
That's a bold prediction. Do you think they'll also release a remaster? I've heard people wanting that for a while.
I would want it, but I don't think they will.
I don't have the
exactly.
energy to do it.
I mean, you
really
can get it
don't.
for $7 on Amazon right now. The trilogy was on sale the last few days on Amazon for like $7 or $8. I forget what it is, and it's always on sale on PC. So I don't really know what you could add to it because they've released the collection
like so many times over.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, and we know Mass Effect 2 was done on the PS3 was done with the Mass Effect 3 engine, right? They ported it up or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
So I think there's a I don't know if they need to. I think they're ready to move on from Shepard and
I sure hope
go
so.
from there. So
Yeah. I know that the new Mass Effect is supposed to be far removed from time and space from Shepard, because there was that whole survey that apparently had legit details for Mass Effect for a while, where they were talking about how the main character would be the Pathfinder, and it was going to be a unrelated story and like a different system, effectively. So just more playing in the same world, which would make me very happy.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're all Mass Effect fans. There's a lot of us are Mass Effect fans, so that's my pick. Mass Effect 4. We're gonna get a big reveal for that, and I think that'll be a surprise.
Do you think we're also going to hear about their other new IP that they talked about last year? Because they mentioned in the same video that they were working on. The studio was like split in half, working on Mass Effect and working on something else.
Totally forgot about that.
Well, they canceled it. They announced they canceled that IP. Remember?
Oh, really?
Oh,
I
wow.
don't.
I think that was pretty recent. And I'll do a Google search here. But I thought they announced because they had a game they were working on. Oh man, it's Shadow Realms. Wasn't it called Shadow Realms?
Yes.
And they ended up canceling it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which is kind
That's
of a bummer.
a bummer.
But yeah, okay, there we go. So it was February of this year. I'm just looking at a Polygon article. BioWare cancels Shadow Realms. So that was the 4v1 co-op RPG that they were working on. I'm guessing that was actually. You know what? Maybe that wasn't the one because they had a game that was more modern day, right? It was kind of set with. I don't know. Either way, Shadow Realms is canceled. If that's the game or not, I don't know. Sam, since you spoke up, what's your next prediction?
Actually, go to somebody else real quick. I closed my document, so I'll get that up in a second.
Robin, what's your next prediction?
Oh, goodness. Let me see. I have a list, and I'm trying to pick something that's not already been spoken about.
Yeah, I know. Same here.
I am, actually, I'd be happy to talk about Fallout 4 and be that guy.
Sure, that's fine.
Because we already know a lot about it. And I'm super excited to see what else they have to show at the presser, particularly because we're supposed to actually have a talking protagonist this time, and I'm hoping they do just voices for both genders, because it's going to be weird to have like a set character for a Fallout game.
In Fallout, right.
Yeah. But I am excited. It's supposed to be a pretty big map, too. Like, someone actually went to they didn't go to Boston, but they looked at Boston landmarks in the game versus on the map and figured out the approximate size of the scale.
Oh, wow.
Of the game.
So it'd be pretty huge then. That's cool.
Yeah.
And there was
larger
like,
than
a lot
Skyrim.
Oh, wow, really? Holy cow. And there were a lot of, like, allusions or, links to previous Fallout games. Wasn't the... there's that scene of I don't know his name, the Stranger or whatever that was kind of walking through that city scene. There's an image of that floating around. So I'm wondering if maybe they'll tie it a little bit into other Fallout games. That could be cool. Yeah, I'm interested in more Fallout. Do you think it'll be landing this year?
Oh, I would like it to, and then it'll be funny. Yeah.
You don't always
to.
3-minute gameplay trailer if you have a press conference coming up on that game. A week later, you have to have a lot of that game to show, which means that game is way.
Because that trailer was pretty far along. That was all in-game stuff. And what Bethesda did for Fallout 3 was they announced it at E3 and it was done that year. And then the same with Skyrim was announced at E3 and it was, ready that year.
Skyrim was announced in December.
Oh, was it in December? That's right.
That's
right. During the Video Game Awards, right? Yeah. Okay.
I'm just really happy that the dog from Call of Duty Ghosts was able to get more work.
We did it, guys.
The same dog.
PETA is so happy. Cool. All right, Sam, did you make up your decision yet?
Yes, I have. Hey, you guys like remakes or reboots? Because I guarantee you Ubisoft has at least one at their press conference this year. It's either going to be, it's probably Splinter Cell or Prince of Persia.
Oh.
Guarantee you one
A
of those
remake
shows.
or a reboot?
A reboot, probably. I feel like every time they release a Prince of Persia and or a Splinter Cell at this point, it's a reboot.
Oh, that reboot
So-
was so good, though.
Prince of Persia was on my list.
Like if they reboot Splinter Cell one more time, can it just be called Splinter Cell Reboot?
Splinter Cell reboot. I'd like that. Could be awesome.
Sam Fisher's a robot.
Did you guys play? Anybody play Splinter Cell Blacklist?
Yeah, that game was awesome.
I had so much fun with it. I played it on the Wii U, and it was actually good on there too, surprisingly.
I'm pretty sure my boyfriend's in the other room playing it right now.
Oh,
Actually.
is he? It's a lot of fun, and I'd love to see a Splinter Cell game on a new console. And there was I'm confident they're showing something. I don't remember what the leak was or the rumor was, but something popped up recently that was Splinter Cell related, maybe a month or so ago.
Was it the movie or the games?
It was the game. It was related to the games or just the IP in general. It wasn't like movie specific. So I'm wondering if maybe that's maybe it's tied to Splinter Cell. I think it's time. That was 3 years ago or so, 2 years ago at least. So I'd love to play that myself. But then you also mentioned Prince of Persia, and boy, is it time for a new Prince of Persia game.
Yeah, well, there hasn't been one since that last attempt at rebooting it, right?
Yeah, with Elika and the no death thing.
Yeah.
Well, no, they did one after that for the Prince of Persia that came out right around the same time as the Prince of Persia movie, and it bombed. It was kind of closer to the older.
It was in the same series as the old ones, I thought.
Yeah, it was in the same series as Sands of Time, and
Oh.
But I would
Stop
love
it.
to see a. I mean, yeah, I think they need to do a complete reboot. And I mean, I wouldn't. So here's a crazy thing. I wouldn't mind seeing Assassin's Creed take a year off every other year, and we're rotating between Prince of Persia and Assassin's Creed.
Well, at this point, those two titles are completely different from each other. At least, like
Yeah.
what we like considered to be Prince of Persia.
Yep.
That it almost like it like Assassin's Creed started as a Prince of Persia title.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, it's not. It's nowhere near a Prince of Persia title. Give us Prince of Persia. I tell you what, if they just did an HD remake of Sands of Time, I guarantee you that would sell well.
Probably, yeah. Yeah.
I'd
It'd
probably
sell
be
well
one of the
enough.
people buying it.
I remember
I never
playing
played
it.
those.
I played it on the was it the GameCube, way back in the day, or PS2. I can't remember, and I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's a good game. It's time, Ubisoft. I know you're listening. I know we have members of Ubisoft's team that listen to our podcast, so get on it. I'm sure they're working on it. And they can't say anything. Dan, you mentioned Prince of Persia and Splinter Cell as we were talking about. You said that one of those was on your list.
Yeah, but I'll scratch it off and go with another one.
Okay, give us another one.
I don't think that Disney rests with just having Star Wars come into the Disney Infinity. I think that Disney has more titles to show, and I think that they're finally going to actually go into Marvel and create Marvel games that are rolling with the cinematic universe. It makes too much sense. There's too much money on the table to do it with. What studio do they do it with? I have no idea. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see an Avengers game coming.
Like no longer this the Lego stuff, but an actual Avengers game.
Yeah.
You bring up a great point about the cinematic universe and how, they have Daredevil and now Punisher. By the way, John Bernthal is going to be the Punisher. Fantastic
Great casting.
Dolph
That was
Lundgren
awesome
got
movie.
shafted again.
Dolph Lundgren.
Best Punisher.
Oh, yeah.
Dolph Lundgren's Punisher. I actually enjoyed that Punisher movie.
And so did I. It was great.
It was great. It was so campy. It was awesome. But I could see them taking another one of their characters that isn't in movies right now or in TV series and actually doing a game around it. I think it could be a lot. I mean, they do great with their, they're putting their Marvel Heroes, the card games, Puzzle Quest. I mean, they're doing pretty good on mobile right now with Marvel. Especially Puzzle Quest is huge. And the MOBA is massive. Because what was the Marvel games that they had that Activision used to make? It was
Ultimate Alliance.
Ultimate Alliance, which I totally dug those games. They were like a super light MOBA, overhead action game. It was like those old X-Men games that were on the NES.
It was kind of like a Diablo style clone that you
Yeah.
could switch between. You always had 4 people in a roster at a time, but there's pretty much all of Marvel canon, right?
Yeah.
I think it followed the Civil War storyline.
Yeah, I thought it was before Civil War. One of them was
Yeah, it
before.
was really
the first
early.
one was
It was
before
2000.
Civil War. Yeah.
Okay, maybe it was the second one.
Maybe
The
the second
second one's the only one I played, and I'm pretty sure that starts with you either choose Team Captain America or Team Iron Man.
And Activision's kind of like the masters of those quick cash-ins. I think they did a Duck Dynasty game, but it made money. They are able to do those things that kind of just pad their bottom line, do those things. But I think that Marvel or Disney and Marvel are going to keep this completely in-house. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing a Black Widow game that's kind of like No One Lives Forever.
Oh, please.
If they did something like that, and I mean, if you had to have cameos from other Avengers in the game, that would be cool. But doing just a No One Lives for Black Widow or something, I don't know.
Black Widow lives forever.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that they could actually build a really good franchise out of that because No One Lives Forever, in the IP purgatory hell that it's in right now, I would love to see that rebooted. But I think 4 different companies own it or own a piece of it, and that's the problem. Nobody knows who really owns it. But Marvel could definitely do something like that with Black Widow, and it could solve a lot of people's anger with not really focusing on Black Widow, because then you could have the shows that focus on X characters, you could have the movies that focus on this, and then Black Widow can be your core video game character.
I think that could be pretty awesome because people have been. There's been a lot of folks that are talking about getting, that they want to see Black Widow in a Netflix series
Mhm.
or in her own movie. I think a game could be great, and yeah, make it canon. That could be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I
I
think it's
definitely
awesome.
support that for sure. Because Black Widow definitely needs her own thing, I
Oh
feel
yeah,
like.
Yeah.
she's a great character, awesome in the movies.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I think I'd love to see something that kind of focuses more on on her past because we saw flashes of that um, in Age of Ultron. But I'd love to see that kind of get expanded more and that whole inner turmoil that she's been fighting. You can even throw her. Sorry for the spoilers for Age of Ultron, but her kind of growing relationship with the Hulk could be included. Who knows?
Wait,
But
what?
yeah. No, the Avengers
Oh,
are a team
no.
of superheroes. No, I think it's awesome. I think straight up Marvel games would be great, and they haven't been. Didn't Sega used to do like They did Captain America and Iron Man, and they were horrible.
Yeah, they were
Actually,
really
Captain
bad
America was
games.
pretty good. I heard was decent, but the
But
Iron Man was bad.
there's been a lot of
Spider Man.
kind of, at least from what I've seen, kind of rumblings that Marvel's doing something. A few different key people have moved to New York to work specifically on Marvel games. And New York is starting to become more attractive for developers because somebody figured out that San Francisco was friggin' expensive as shit. So, and New York, while being expensive as shit, is not as expensive as San Francisco.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
there's a lot more studios kind of coming here. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that. And even if they did, an origin story, which had a big conflict for Black Widow, and they could probably go, if they did it right with their marketing budget and obviously the budget that they have to hire people, they could probably go toe to toe with Tomb Raider, one way or another.
I think you're right on. You're right on. Not going to argue with that. That's for sure.
I'm copywriting it right now.
Copyright here.
Mail it to yourself.
There you go. Well, I'm going to go now before Tom jumps in. And I'm also going to mention a licensed product, and it's one we haven't seen for a while, but I think we are dying for something in this genre. And I'm going to say it right out. There's a movie coming out later this year, the new Bond movie. It's time for a new Bond game. I don't know what route you could take. I'd love to see a Bond game that was more of the spy side of things, and kind of that hyper version of action that Daniel Craig's been using in the
So
films.
you don't
But
want like a just walk around and like be really bad to women simulator.
yeah, no,
Bond game would be.
I don't think you need to sleep with anybody in this, but yeah, I think I'd love to see a new Bond game. I mean, GoldenEye was always a lot of fun, and when No One Lives Forever was kind of a Bond game, and
What was that racing one they did? Was it just 007 Racing?
it might have been just 007
I think it
Racing.
was.
All right. Well, I think it's time. There's the movie coming out later this year, so
When Spectre comes out this year?
yeah, in November.
Oh, jeez.
Yep. Let's go to Tom. Tom, what's your next?
So I'm gonna hit Square since no one else has yet. I don't think.
All right. No, we
remember
haven't.
Nope.
I think they're actually gonna come out and they're gonna be like, show a decent chunk of Final Fantasy 15 again and go, hey guys, here's all the stuff that we fixed that was absolutely busted from that demo that you hated. Did you guys see the list that they surfaced when they were like, they took that survey and they actually surfaced the results? And like number one with a bullet was this kid's voice. Number two is that frame rate is busted. Like there was just a laundry list of stuff.
Well, didn't they just update the demo like yesterday?
Yeah.
I think they did.
I've never heard of updating a demo before in my life.
That's when you know you've done something wrong. If you have to fix your demo.
Yeah. We know you've spent time here, but play it again, please. Like, that wasn't representative of the final
Like the
product.
list that surfaced wasn't even like 2 or 3 things. It was just like this giant list of things people hated about that demo.
I know the game that demo was attached to, Typo HD. I had so many issues with that. They just released a big patch for that too.
Because they just like up-resed a PSP game and it's clear that they did that.
Yeah, exactly. So you think now? I thought that they said they weren't going to show anything for Final Fantasy 15. You think that was just a?
I don't know. I think Square says a lot of
herring.
things.
Square says a lot of things.
Also, like, what are they going to show? More of Tomb Raider? Microsoft will have shown off a chunk of it the day before.
Yeah, I'm super. I mean, they got Deus Ex, right? Deus Ex, they're going to show.
Looks phenomenal.
Yeah, they're going to spend a good chunk of time on that.
Too.
Yeah, well, I'm going to hop in. I actually think they're going to show more than one Final Fantasy game. I don't know what the others could be. They may do something that's.
Well, Heaven's Ward comes
focused.
out the week after, so they'll probably spend some time talking about that.
What did we say last week?
Final Fantasy VII
Yeah.
Remaster.
Final Fantasy VII, for PS4. But no, I'm gonna throw in a Square game that I think we're gonna see Kingdom Hearts 3, more of it. But
Oh, why'd you have to say that? Now the
ready?
theme song is in my head again.
ready? Hold on. We feel like a lot of the Disney properties have already gone through the rigmarole. What are the Disney properties? Are they gonna do Frozen? Yeah, they'll do Frozen. But remember, Disney now also owns Star Wars and Marvel. So could you imagine a Kingdom Hearts game that has Marvel characters, Star Wars characters, Frozen, Big Hero 6, all
right.
that Pixar stuff? I think
Dolly, I have a question
awesome.
for you.
Yeah,
On this. Who is the target demographic? Like the real target demographic
for Kingdom
for
Hearts,
Kingdom Hearts.
JR, I don't know, people who love JRPGs, I'm guessing. I don't
Age
know.
range. What do you think that the target would be?
Oh man, I don't know because everybody I know that's
Let's say
playing
10 to 17. Like if
Really?
people in Square boardrooms.
You think that it's that low? I would have thought it would have been
that's
higher,
who they
but
target
maybe.
towards. I think
Maybe.
people like you and me buy it, but I think that's
People like you and me buy it, but it's I can see that.
See, I don't know, because I was in the 10 to 17 range when Kingdom Hearts 1 came out, and if it's the third one, if we're going to continue following Sora's story, I would think that they would try to aim it towards maybe more advanced RPG players, like Final Fantasy.
It's
Yeah, the
basically
audience
like
they already have.
Yeah, it's like the 8th Kingdom Hearts game or 9th Kingdom Hearts game in reality, isn't it?
the second. Like Kingdom Hearts 2 came out 10 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
Oh,
It
man.
literally came out in 2005.
And they released the HD remixes for the PS3. But I think it's I think
it's a hard sell to new people.
I don't know. I think
If you put Frozen on that box, it'll be an easy
Oh,
sell.
yeah,
to
definitely.
exactly.
Oh, yes.
Frozen on there. Put Big Hero 6 on there and put Star Wars. Put Frozen and Star Wars. That's all you need.
Mhm.
So there you go. That's my third one is Kingdom Hearts
Did we
3.
see that? No, we saw that 2 years ago. They showed the trailer, didn't they? The teaser.
Yeah,
Or
it was.
Yeah.
It was at the reveal of the PS4, I think.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
was,
so it
it
was
was
2
like
years
30
ago.
seconds.
But a lot has changed since then. And initially they said 2016, did they say?
Did they actually mention a date?
I remember they mentioned a date, yeah.
Or are you just thinking of like Goofy's voice actor being like, "Hey guys"?
Yeah. What all right, who wants to go next? How about Robin, what's your next pick?
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and make a kind of abstract prediction for Ubisoft because we've had a bunch of really good indie-styled games coming out of them, like Valiant Hearts or Child of Light.
Grow home.
I think, oh yeah, that's what we're probably going to see. So I was going to say I expect to see a bit more of that based on the success of those two titles. So Grow Home, I completely forgot that existed outside of my initial confusion of its title, since we've had,
Gone Home and all the different home versions.
Yes. Gone Home, Get Homesick, Grow Home.
Ubisoft is always an interesting thing. One of my rumors or one of my predictions on here was yet another crazy Ubisoft game because every year they throw something out there. They're just like, what was the laser tag thing like 3 years ago, and then they had the iOS-based Just Dance like last year or the year before.
Which is a great idea. Let's all dance with our phones in our hands.
Yeah,
See
exactly.
what happens. What could possibly go wrong?
I'll go possibly go wrong. Dan, what's your next prediction?
I think EA is going to roll with Battlefield Bad Company, a new one.
Oh,
Oh, that'd be so good.
I think that there was always like the thing on Twitter where they were like, if you want it, tell us, and everybody was like, yo, we want it. Let's get it trending. And I think it makes more sense to kind of go to something more fun than the kind of like straight up oh my god stuff that they've been doing for the past couple of years. It's something that, I mean, dude, I loved The Last Bad Company. I think it's probably the last really, really good Battlefield game. So I think we see a new one, and I think that I don't know if it's something that we'll see this fall. I don't think that. I think it's a 2016 release. I wouldn't be surprised to see it come shortly after PAX East next year, just so they can get the full marketing crush at PAX East and get all the preview stuff out from there. So I would say late spring next year.
It does seem like a PAX East style game because it's that kind of crowd. It's not the hardcore Battlefield group.
And
it's kind of like the
if
more
they
fringe.
shift their strategy and stop trying to think that they're going toe to toe with Call of Duty, which they're not. Call of Duty blows them out of the water now.
Also, you can't bring a building down on people in Call of Duty by shooting at it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what the worst thing about that was that the building that they shot down in Los Angeles was the building that I was staying in last year.
Oh, really?
And we were watching the demo from our loft.
Oh, man.
And we're like, oh my god, that's the building we're in, you sons of bitches.
They're on to you, man. They're on to you and your opinions about them.
I think that's coming, and it makes more sense. Just avoid Call of Duty altogether and capture a little more money in the late spring.
And even though Hardline came out, I don't think it did as great as everybody expected it to.
Yeah, because people are scared of the brand at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't be surprised if the new Assassin's Creed does smaller sales. You know, if you damage the brand with one game, don't expect the next one to just pick up and be like, oh, well, we fucked up, but you know, it's okay now. It's not. That's not going to work. So people are scared of it.
That's where I think
maybe it wasn't the best time to throw out a game. With vigilante cops not playing by the rules.
Yeah, it's a great point. But yeah, I mean, I agree. I think every other year, we mentioned it earlier, but every other year, Assassin's Creed Prince of Persia, you do a proper Battlefield game and then a...
Oh, but Dolly,
one.
If we alternate Assassin's Creed, then it will take twice as long to get to the Japan Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, that's true.
Actually, you know what? Thinking about that, the Battlefield Hardline and the worst timing in the world, do you remember when they came out with the big trailer was Be the Law, Break the Law?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That was in the middle of the Ferguson riots.
Yep.
Oh, dude.
Like, they might as well have just changed the game to, like, Battlefield Hands Up, Don't Shoot. Like, it would have been the same thing because that's where they were at.
I remember seeing that and just going, oh, come on, man. Like,
I think we were doing a show like this.
We might have been, yeah.
And we were like, oh, these riots are horrible, and EA's like, break the law. I was like, oh.
Robin, what's your next prediction?
Oh gosh. I'm actually scraping the bottom of the barrel at this point.
A lot of stuff got bubbled up. That's good.
Yeah, well, a lot of stuff is also confirmed too, so it's less fun to talk about. But I think while we're we were on an EA kick, but we've also mentioned Ubisoft a bit. I think we're going to see a lot more for The Division.
Oh, okay.
And I think they're going to try to present in such a way that sort of resists the criticisms I've seen so far, which is like the whole, how is this different from anything else that we've seen?
Isn't it supposed to be like Destiny?
It's an open world RPG
Is
shooter.
it like a loot game? Yeah.
It's a Tom Clancy game. I don't know if it's loot based.
I know. Like stuff I heard is that they're like, it's like kind of loot based in weird ways.
Oh yeah, you end up shooting into a cave for hours at a time at some point. I've heard. No, I don't know if it's loot based, but I mean they're already kind of doing a good job of kind of branching off from your other FPSs. So. That's a good point about Destiny. I think they're going to really try to emphasize it this year too, to kind of compete with that.
And there's a lot of Ubisoft. You look at like what's on their plate. I mean, they have that. Obviously, there's some of the indie things we mentioned. Potentially Prince of Persia and Assassin's Creed. But remember that Rainbow Six is out there still.
Oh yeah.
So the Siege, right? So that's coming this fall. So I wonder if we'll see something from that. They're gonna have a busy plate for sure. Sam, what's your next prediction?
Well, I'm going to talk about 2K things since I don't think we've mentioned 2K at all yet.
Oh yeah.
Good point.
Well, this is more. I can't think of the development studio, but I think we'll see. Maybe we won't see anything, but we'll hear more talk of the next Borderlands game that's going to come out.
Like
especially because
update.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see stuff on Battleborn for sure. Or is it called Battleborn? Is that there?
Battlecry?
Battlecry. There's so many there's so many MOBAs I think that have battle and then after it.
Did you guys read the? This is maybe one of the only times I'll really recommend a Kotaku article. But there was a great piece on Kotaku about how games are revealed in 2015 and how it starts with like a rumor heading into an E3, and there's like everything that could go wrong with the game, with like leaks and LinkedIn profiles, all that kind of stuff. But the game was called Blood Death, that they were kind of mocking, and I thought Blood Death, and the sequel was Blood Death 2, Death Blood, and it was just fantastic. I'm like, at this point, you are just kind of grabbing the like specific words and throwing them together into a title. Bloodborne, Battle Cry, Battleborn. It's like I think all these games are becoming the same game.
I think that's why you see all the games coming out. Like all these leaks are pretty much just given out by the company themselves because they're like, screw it. And they probably, if they get a hint that something leaked, they're like, release the trailer.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all it is.
Release the Kraken.
Every Assassin's Creed is leaked immediately after the next Assassin's Creed launches. Like, it's Tuesday at like noon, and Unity's out, and Kotaku has an article up about Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous at this point.
But I think Borderlands 3 is right on. I think is that the only thing you have for 2K? Because 2K is throwing a party this year on the Monday of E3, which Take-Two is, which owns 2K. Or the other vice versa. I can't remember what it is. But which to me is odd that they're throwing it is Take-Two throwing the event. And I keep thinking, all right, they don't throw E3 parties because they never really have a giant presence at E3. But this year maybe they're showing off some things. So Borderlands.
Well, yeah, and the second one I wanted to talk about was I think that we're going to see some form, because I don't think we're seeing Red Dead Redemption from.
Don't say that.
I don't think we're seeing that from Rockstar, but what I think we are.
We are.
Yeah, what I think we are seeing from Rockstar is maybe a larger expansion to Grand Theft Auto, and more specifically Grand Theft Auto Online. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they make like a new like a vacation spot away from Los Santos or something, and use it as like, oh, well, there's no cars out here, but there's horses. Like, you guys like Red Dead horses,
You guys
right?
like horses?
Grand Theft Equine.
Yeah, or have it like be like an old-timey like Western vacation or something, and just like it just have all gear and all that stuff like based off that. That way, people don't freak out that there's not a new Red Dead anytime soon.
I don't know. I want a new Red Dead.
Well, so do I, but I just don't think. I think it's too early for Red Dead. The next.
I think
one.
you're right on though. So GTA 5 proper is what, 2 years old or 3 years old at this point?
It's gonna be 2 years.
It'll be 2 years. And we haven't heard anything about expansions because GTA 4 had a couple really good expansions.
They just added a gold plane.
What's that?
Yeah, they've been adding like sort of like piecemeal DLC to online.
For online though, right?
Yeah.
And last month in an investors call, they talked about what is it? Like they referenced the possibility of looking into like story DLC.
Okay.
There hasn't actually been any real confirmation on anything.
I just want Red Dead. Give me Red Dead. Tom, what's your third prediction? I should say.
I'm gonna double down on what I said a week ago, in that I don't think that Activision is gonna put Call of Duty at Microsoft this year. I really don't think they're going to. And it'll be kind of a big deal.
You think it'll go to the Sony press conference, or
Maybe, probably.
I don't know. I still think there's so much money involved there.
I think so, but like everyone I talk to that's ever played that game pre-release and all the demos and everything they see of that game is all on Sony stuff.
But then we also say the same thing about Destiny and Bungie as well, right?
Yeah, good point.
Um, I think so they just announced that it is coming to PS3 and 360, which is
Which one?
called the new Call of Duty, which is pretty obvious. Yeah.
I didn't even see that.
Yeah, they just announced it today or late yesterday, I think it was. But
There's so many of those out there. They have to take that.
yeah, they have to. There's still a lot of because the consoles
Market's
haven't.
huge.
I think what's happened is even though the consoles have done really well, the adoption hasn't been there. I think they're still seeing a lot of games being purchased for the last gen, more so than they initially thought. And so, yeah, I think they want to appease the people who haven't quite made the switch over, and there's still a lot of people who haven't switched over yet. So, Call of Duty was right there. But yeah, so Call of Duty at the PS4 press conference, maybe, I'm not sure. But yeah. So that kind of covers our three predictions. Are there any other crazy predictions you guys have? Just throw anything out there. Anything. At this last round. Otherwise, I'll throw a couple down that we haven't talked about that need to be talked about.
I randomly thought about SOCOM yesterday.
Ooh.
SOCOM could be something that PlayStation looks, because there's not, other than Rainbow Six Siege, we don't really have a tactical shooter on the horizon.
God, and SOCOM was a lot of fun back in the day.
They just released a very similar game on early access, but it's not a real. It's not actually anything notable.
Mm-hmm.
And so there really is like a big empty. Even on PC, there's like a giant gap in that game type.
So there are a ton of press conferences. Tomorrow is Oculus has their press conference tomorrow.
I can't wait.
And I'm curious as to what's going to be. They have to show games there. You can't just show the hardware and get people to buy in. This is the reveal of the public version, which I tweeted and I posted on Facebook. I don't
You hate that thing.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. I don't love it because I think the design of VR headsets needs to be a little bit better.
What are you looking at?
What did you
Your head
call
is
it
inside it the
again?
whole time.
A big black bar of soap
Bar of soap, yeah.
attached to Bane's mask on my forehead. Anyways, so I'm curious what they're gonna show there. Like Eve Valkyrie was fantastic. You know, it's been in the works forever, so they really need to show that, and that's also coming to Morpheus as well. But I'm curious what they're gonna show with Oculus, because they have that Facebook money. They have there have been developers working on this thing for years and years and years for software, and they have to show things that are nearing completion to get people excited.
I want to put it on my face so bad, Dolly.
They'll have it. I'm sure they'll have it at E3 somewhere. Yep.
I own two of them. I should just be allowed to skip the line.
I would hate for them to get their hands on Soma, that new game from Frictional. I don't know, like love-hate, because on one hand I would be excited to play it, on the other hand I would never be able to sleep again.
And then I want to throw these out there because we haven't heard anything about these in ages. Obviously, there's the Watch Dogs 2 that we knew was in development, but that hasn't been brought up. Dead Island 2 was delayed into oblivion. I mean, they haven't talked about it since E3 last year. Homefront 2, we know that was picked up. And then, Beyond Good and Evil, that hasn't been talked about. Deep Down hasn't been talked about. There are a ton of games. The Amy Hennig Star Wars game hasn't been talked. Is it Amy Hennig that's working on the Star Wars game?
Yeah.
That hasn't been talked about. So I think there are a ton of things out there that have not been mentioned in what seems like a year or two. That maybe it's time. And then you even have Telltale with their own IP and the Minecraft game that hasn't been talked about. So I think there are a lot of huge things out there that just nobody's mentioned anything about, that I think are one of those has to be shown somewhere.
I don't think Dead Island 2 might have some presence. I think they pushed that to 2016.
Yeah, right.
Homefront, the Revolution,
Hmm.
I don't think you're going to hear a lot about that because Deep Silver bought that from Crytek because
Right.
Crytek was going through all that stuff, and then I think they bought like a Crytek studio,
Hmm.
and made it Deep Silver Dam Buster. So I think that one you probably won't see that until 2017.
Okay.
But the other stuff, I don't know. I mean, it's weird. I think that we might just see what some people are doing. I wouldn't be surprised if Amy's Star Wars game pops up briefly at the EA presser.
Hmm.
And then I think that at some point, whether or not we see something, or whether it's presented like crazy, or it's just something that's a news report, I think we're going to find out what Patrice Desolites is doing.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true. Whatever Platinum's working on, because apparently they're going to be showing something at E3 this year, probably at one of the press conferences. I'm going to throw this one out there because I'm getting a little bit of a feel for this popping up, but the Darksiders 2 was it just re-released or is being re-released pretty soon here? I think we're going to see Darksiders 3 this year at E3. I think that would be awesome. I think it's a perfect fit for the modern consoles. But that's also been floating out there, and there's a lot of games. I mean, people thought Deep Down was going to be Dragon's Dogma, and we know Dragon's Dogma was really popular. There's the Metal Gear Rising 2 rumors that were floating around.
Kill a man in front of his own mother. I want it so bad.
Yep, there's whatever Suda51 is working on.
Let it die.
Let It Die, which I think it did. So there are. I'm just looking at my backlog over here of games. There are a lot of games that are that we're waiting to hear more about. So, I mean, Persona 5. That's coming this year,
Yes.
right? That's
right.
Nobody's talked about that really in a while. So if there's that information.
There
that's
released a
been going on.
trailer like a month ago.
Yeah. So there's a ton of
Anime
things
as
this year.
hell.
Yeah, and I think I spoke to a couple folks who are privy to even more, and then stuff that happened just momentarily before the podcast started. I spoke to a few folks that have knowledge of things that are supposedly pretty cool that they can't talk about that are going to be announced next week that are either brand new IPs or whatever. But and that's the other thing. We're going to see a lot of new IPs. I think we're getting to that point in the console generation where new IPs will start to bubble out. Hopefully.
That's the thing I want the most, frankly.
Yeah, same here. I mean, it's great. I'm excited for Mass Effect 4. I'm excited for Assassin's Creed, for Mirror's Edge, but now I want to see something new. I want something cool and fresh because we haven't had this generation defining game yet, right? Like the previous generation, you had. Even though Fallout 3 was, or we had BioShock, right? BioShock was the previous generation, one of the big games. Uncharted, the kind of the big fresh IPs, and I think it's time for this generation to do that. Watch Dogs was almost that, but who knows? No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I almost is very kind.
Yeah, there you go. So I think that's it for our predictions. I'm excited. E3 is going to be awesome, but let's just super briefly chat on our E3 experiences that we've had in the past. So, as I mentioned in the pre-show, that Robin, Dan, and I have been to E3. We've had all kinds of stories. In fact, I think that's where I met Dan at E3. I met Robin at E3.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's the way you network. You network at E3 and you meet people. You meet awesome people. The industry is small enough that you're going to be working with everybody at some point, whether no matter how big or small they are. And everybody actually is really accessible. The majority of people are super nice and willing to work with and talk to. And obviously, there's a lot of parties that we've been helping get out in front of people, which are great networking events. But there's a lot of great stories at E3, so I didn't know if anybody wanted to kind of share an interesting story or just memories or what they're looking forward to. Dan, you're going now at the last second.
Yeah,
you got the okay.
Incredibly
to go.
psyched.
Yeah.
I've made there's been some bad drinking decisions.
Oh yeah. Was it last year that we kept running up Dave Oshry's Uber? Bill,
Oh, that's right.
Dave. We just kept going from
Dave would
like,
order
event to
Ubers. We
event.
would just go in them.
Yeah, from event to event, we would go to every single event on Dave Oshry's Uber bill.
But he was expensing it. It was
He was expensing it, yeah. But the poor guy, that must have been like a, several $100 bill, because we go to like one event, and you're there for like 10 minutes, and you're like, all right, too many people,
Yeah.
or this party's happening, and it was like that consistently until we all decided just to go back to the Fig and hang out there, which is where you spend the most of your night.
That's
exactly.
the hotness, right there.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
hate to keep mentioning the Fig because eventually it's going to be overrun with people.
Yeah.
But
I'm worried about that. I'm like,
yeah, this year
thinking about
especially.
you gotta go early and get a table and just sit. But yeah, there's. I think my first E3 was probably my stupidest move, and then funniest move, and it was all because of a rental car. Like, I didn't know what I was doing.
Okay.
And I booked almost last minute. I rented a car, and the only hotel I could find was in Sherman Oaks.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so stupidly, I'm staying in Sherman Oaks, and one of the nights that I was there, I could completely understand Lindsay Lohan's plight in life, because you're like, you get hammered, and you're like, I need to get home. And stupidly, I actually was like, the lot's gonna close. I don't have anywhere to park, and I need to just sit in my car and just relax for a while. Then I can make it back to Sherman Oaks, because I had GPS.
Mm-hmm.
It was fine, and it was a rental. It's a Suzuki. I'll be fine. And I remember I got back to Sherman Oaks. I don't really remember getting back to Sherman Oaks. I woke up the next morning. It was Sunday night that this happened, and then Monday was the press conferences, and I didn't have access to any of the press conferences. So I was like, I'm just going to get breakfast and watch the press conferences. And I woke up, showered, went outside, and I had no idea where the car was.
Oh no.
And I went, oh, that's a problem. That's a problem. And the parking lot that I was staying in was a really, really big parking lot, and I'm walking around and I can't find it, and I saw a Denny's like down the parking lot way. So I said, all right, stupid, go get breakfast and then figure out what you're going to call the rental company or what you're going to do. So I walk up to Denny's. Right as I walk up to Denny's, the Suzuki is parked right next to Denny's. Drunk me knew I would be hungry in the morning and knew that I needed to park right next to Denny's. So I parked right next to Denny's, and I was like, yes, you're so smart, you idiot.
At least there's a part of you that knows what your
yeah. And then when I had to leave, I think I left on Wednesday that year. I had to cut it short. I left my hotel early. I got to right around the convention center around like 6 or 7 in the morning, and I found a lot across the street from the convention center, and it was $10, and I was like, this is amazing. So I parked $10. When I knew I had to drive back to the airport, I went to go out to my car. The lot is full, everything's jumping, and there's a note on my windshield that says plus $40 from the attendant, because I guess the morning guy had no idea. So he was like, no, I charge him $10. So if they put plus $40 to the attendant.
Oh no.
I grew up in the Bronx. No. I took the thing, I chucked it on the ground, and I put it in reverse. The attendant comes running out, and I floored it. I gunned it out of that lot. I peeled out of the lot. He's going, you owe me money. I was like, bye.
You broke so many laws that first E3.
Yeah.
That's such a very New York thing to do.
You New Yorked LA.
In my head, I'm like, E3 is the scariest thing in the world. Everybody gets drunk. You almost die. But video games.
I think it's funny because my first E3 I think was 2020, either 2009 or 2010. Maybe it was 2010.
Were you there for Mr. Caffeine? That's the big question.
Yeah, no, it was 2009. That's right, because I created SideQuesting specifically so I could go to E3. So that
Good
was
man.
yeah. Which back then it was super easy to get into E3. All you had to do is have a blog and a name.
So like
and you got
Diablo
into it.
fan.
Yeah, exactly.
.com.
Yeah, that's back when Activision, I think it was either that year or the year after, Activision had their huge party with like Eminem and Tony Hawk and Rihanna and you name it, they were there. But It was that first E3. I remember doing E3 wrong. Maybe it's right, or maybe it was wrong. I'm not sure. But I didn't find out till very late that I was able to even go to E3. That I had qualified, for credentials. And so I booked the only hotel I could find, which was the Ritz Milner, the scenic Ritz Milner.
Oh no.
Which is the one that was on the news for like just horrible bed bugs for like 2 or 3 years in a row. And so I went to the Ritz Milner. I heard Ritz. I thought, oh, this is awesome. I'm staying at the Ritz, and it's a super cheap. It's like $140 a night. That's a steal. Yeah, so I get to the Ritz Milner, and it's in this horrible, out of the way place that's like, 2 or 3 miles from the convention center, and so I had the longest, sweatiest walks in the morning and on the way back, and the hotel didn't have Wi-Fi, which was just bonkers back then, and I remember going to the Microsoft press. Oh, I'm sorry, I went to the Nintendo press conference in the morning, and before I went to the convention center, Nintendo had their press conference at the Nokia Center, which was like right next to the convention center. I remember going back to the hotel room to either pick some things up, pick my laptop up, or drop something off. And I get back to the hotel room and I go to use the restroom, and there's like Microsoft Xbox 360 paraphernalia and stickers that appeared magically in my hotel room, like all over the place. So the cleaning people had come in and had put all this stuff in my room that they were doing to every single room for everybody that was there for E3, and completely freaked me out. I thought somebody had broken into my room because I called the lobby, and I thought, did I go to the right room? Did I switch rooms? Did something happen? I think my key opened the wrong door. And they're like, no, this is what they're doing for everybody that's there. And I thought, that's absolutely terrifying that somebody, the cleaning people will go into my room before they even clean the room, like not even cleaning my room, and put Xbox stickers everywhere. So that was kind of scary. But then I also did it wrong that year because I went alone, completely alone, my first E3.
It's rough.
And, yeah, it's rough. It's very rough. And I took cabs everywhere, so it's like an $70, $80 cab ride everywhere you go. Again, not knowing. And I remember staying up super late because I figured I had to write everything right away by myself. And so I was up till like 5 or 6 in the morning writing, and then I'm asleep for like an hour and a half, and then waking up and going to the next, the next day's events, and completely worn out. So I think a total of like maybe 7 or 8 hours of sleep total from like Sunday morning to Thursday night while I was at E3. So yeah, definitely don't do that. I got really sick after that. I had the E3 pox. Not fun. I don't think I've been drunk or anything at E3. I've managed to pace myself fairly well, but
bullshit.
No, we had a good buzz last year, I think.
Good buzz, right. We held each other close.
I have danced at E3, I have to say that. Yeah, White Dad Dance, I think is what they were calling me.
The Team Silver party last year.
The one the year before is actually really good because they had, who was the band, the G6, Fly Like a G6, I totally forget the name of that band. They had them there, and that was
the Far East Movement.
Far East Movement, they were fantastic. That was fantastic. That was actually the same year that I met Robin at E3 at the Xbox press conference, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Was that your first E3, Robin?
That was my first E3.
Okay.
And so far my only E3 due to scheduling.
Yeah, it always falls at the weirdest times.
But hopefully I'll be able to go to more. You guys are making me scared I'm going to have my rough E3 like the next one I go.
No. You know
Once
what
you passed your first E3, they're much easier, way easier after that. So
Yeah,
if your first E3 was not rough, then you're out of the woods, trust me.
The only thing I did really wrong was not prioritize sleep, because I also got the E3 pox at the end. I felt it coming on the last day of E3, and I was trying to fight it off with fruit juice, but by the time...
No.
But the worst part of it was the only plane I could get out was a red-eye flight.
Oh,
so I was already
taken
sick.
out.
And I was on the red-eye flight, and I just put my head down and kind of went into this weird, sick coma where I wasn't quite sleeping. And I had to wait for Katie because she was flying a buddy pass, and she was a couple flights behind me. So I just fell asleep in the atrium of the airport, and was barely breathing or capable of speaking at this point.
That is the number one thing, is just get that sleep. Tom, your first E3, that's it. Get that sleep. Don't kill yourself writing.
I get like 2 hours of sleep a night anyway.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, focus on more.
Yeah, sleep, hand sanitizer, and actually eat healthy food.
Yeah.
Dan, where are you flying out of?
I am flying out of JFK.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It won't be too bad. I'm actually leaving. I'm coming in Tuesday, so I'm leaving at about 6 in the morning East Coast, 3 in the morning West Coast, and getting there at 9:30, and basically throwing my gear somewhere and going into the convention center.
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaving like at 8:30 a.m. at a Newark on Saturday.
Nice.
I think
it's better to have extra time to settle in.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Especially
Like
'cause
the
I gotta
one
get
thing
my
I
gear
was like,
situated.
you have to get there at least by Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Like this year's going to be rough, but it is what it is. But yeah, and then I would just say, don't even worry about. Everybody's like, oh, we got to get all of our content up right away.
No,
Listen,
don't worry about that.
Listen, the people that read your stuff, they're going to read your stuff.
Yep.
The people that look for crazy breaking news, they're going to look at the crazy breaking
Like
news
IGN.
sites that have a lot of money behind them, that have their own booths at E3.
That
to
already
report stuff.
who saw all this stuff and wrote their stuff up last
Exactly.
week.
Like they were at Judges Week. Like, just relax. And yeah, I mean, and make sure that you just have a good time and take it all in.
Yeah.
Because some people take it very seriously. Like, I know I've worked with people that have been like, I cannot go to a party until I complete my writing. And I'm like, well, you're wasting the...
Why are you there then? You could do that from home.
You're wasting the other 50% of what E3 is. E3 is about the games, but E3 is also about networking.
Yes, definitely.
Because you're going to meet... your next boss, you're going to meet your next co-writer, you're going to meet your next
business partner.
Exactly.
Really, I mean, a lot of people tend to forget that media is not just. I mean, E3 is not just media folks. You have buyers, you have investors show up, you have analysts show up there, you have panelists, things like that. There's a lot of different people that go there, and networking is a huge part of it because you have to form these connections and for all those specific reasons. So yeah, go out and do as much of that as you can. And I totally agree. Unless there's like one or two unless there's like something that's really pressing that you want to get out, the media room closes the press room closes at like 7, so 6:30, whatever it is. Get out of there, go get some food, save everything in your draft, and pick it up the next day.
And meet your heroes.
Meet your heroes, yeah. That's
Yes, definitely. Don't be like me. I had eyes on Hideo Kojima himself, and I did not feel as though I could approach him. He was also clearly waiting on a Uber cab. But I was like in the Marriott lobby with my laptop typing stuff up, and I happened to glance up, and then I kind of looked back down, and then my brain just clicked, and I just kind of stared. I went completely blank for a moment.
That would be cool and go right up to him.
Usually I'm really good about that as long as people don't appear suddenly and without warning.
It's scary.
See, that freaked me out. Do any of you watch wrestling?
Yeah.
All right.
A little bit.
Last year, I'm leaving the Deep Silver party because I was hanging out with Dally, so I was drunk.
Yeah.
And as I'm leaving the party, somebody's coming in, and I'm staring at them sideways because I'm like, I think you're who I think you are, but I don't want to be the drunk guy that runs up. So I walked up to him, and I was like, I have to ask, what's your name? And he goes, I'm Samoa Joe.
There you go. Yeah.
And I was like, I knew it was you. And talked to him for 10 minutes, took a picture with him. Later on, we were at the Fig.
Mm-hmm.
Samoa Joe shows up.
Oh, I remember, because you had bought a huge round of drinks and you were completely liquored up.
Yeah. And then I saw Samoa Joe talking to Greg Miller.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured, well, Samoa Joe's my new best friend because we talked before.
He's going to remember
myself. I went right into the middle of that conversation. And they were both like, how you doing? I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah, meeting people in elevators is fantastic. And Like I walked past Reggie Fils-Aimé at last year, and I thought, oh man, Reggie's like the guy. He's
Do you
the
ever be
man at
looking down at
Nintendo.
your phone and walk straight headfirst into someone, not realizing
Oh
it?
yeah,
When they're
that it
so
happened to me
important?
and Andrew Reiner.
I did
From
that to Brian Lee O'Malley last October.
okay.
Peter
Um,
Moore.
I ended up having. It was funny. I had let's see. I had lunch. Inadvertently had lunch with a bunch of the guys from IGN, Greg Miller, and when he was there years ago, Brian
When he was there,
Altano.
more than 6 months ago.
Yeah, exactly. And Damon Hatfield and stuff. I just was having, you can eat lunch there or eat lunch around the buildings there, and you're sitting next to people at the next table over who are, people that you've, admired. I mean, to me, the reason I wanted to go to E3 wasn't just the games; it was to meet all the folks that I admired over the years. Back when Jeff Kanata and Dan Trachtenberg. When they had the Totally Rad show, that was one of my favorite shows to watch, and then I got to meet Jeff Kanata at my first E3, and it was a blast. And that kind of, Jeff Kanata, I met Todd Howard from
Jeff Kanata's new
Bethesda.
show is really good, by the way.
Yeah, it's really good. Todd Howard, I got to meet him, just kind of chatting about games. Last year, it was I played Smash Brothers against Palmer Luckey, who is a super interesting dude, but definitely loves. And I think that's what I wrote my preview of Smash Brothers, just completely about Palmer Luckey and my experience with him. But then, and those are the kinds of things that also work really well as a way to show connections with just E3 in general. I mean, I found those stories really fascinating to read and to write over the last few years. Is just everything about E3, not just the games. How those connections are made and things we see and stuff. So have fun out there. Yeah, E3 is awesome. I'm bummed that I'm not going. I'm glad Dan was able to go.
Yeah, me too. I was really scared about having to go by myself.
Yeah. But it's a lot like PAX, except bigger and a lot more people you're running into.
Larger than life, almost.
Larger than life, but it's so fun. There's so
It
much
is.
Money that goes into it. So it's
ridiculously awesome.
ridiculously awesome. It could be life changing. I mean, it really can be. Like I said, I created SideQuesting initially for fun, and then I realized I get into E3, and then I realized I got to keep up with it because there's a lot of coverage coming out of there, and I caught the writing bug basically from going to E3. So.
And that's how I came to SideQuesting
Yeah,
with you, so life-changing.
Yep, Dan, that's how Dan's here. Yeah, so it definitely is. It's a phenomenal way to experience more than just the digital aspect of the hobby we love. So, anything else about E3 before we sign off for this wonderful evening?
I have a
That's it
brief
for me.
thing. I was gonna say, be polite, but don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yes.
Because that's how the coolest stuff at E3 happened to me. I got a good interview about Elder Scrolls Online that way, but also it happened to be the same Marriott. For some reason, everything happened to me there. But I saw that they had the Forza McLarens parked outside.
Ooh, yeah.
And I went up and asked the guy that was with him, I was like, oh, can I take a picture of these cars? And he's like, sure, do you want me to take your picture in it? And
Oh man.
that was my response. So he let me sit behind the steering wheel of a car I would never touch or probably see again. And then he let me rev the engine. So
Oh man.
don't be afraid to ask questions. Sometimes they explode. in
I
the
ended
best
up
ways possible.
just on that note. I ended up buying a McLaren. I want to say Ford. A McLaren Hot Wheels car yesterday that I've been ogling, and like I saw that car at E3 2 years ago. So I have the toy of the car you actually got to sit in.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Don't just ask every question. Don't be shy. There are no stupid questions at E3 because the folks are media savvy that you talk to, and everyone's really cool. They're really excited to show you what they've been working on. Much like PAX East. PAX East is much more personal because you're talking to straight up developers that are working hands-on in the games, and E3 is more. You get a lot more PR spin on there. But try to ask as many questions as you can and see what you can get out of it. And enjoy it. Enjoy your time there. And I think I mentioned it to you, but this is kind of our mantra right now at SideQuesting is don't overbook yourself. don't overbook too many appointments because you still want to go on the show floor and just have fun and enjoy, because that's where you're actually going to see cool things. I didn't see Shadow of Mordor last year. We didn't book anything, and I just kind of casually walked past the WB booth, and I'm like, what is that game? And so we just, started playing it that way. So don't the good 60 to 70% of your E3 should be just scouring the show floor looking for cool things.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, definitely, yeah. The best decision I made was not to overschedule myself or make too much of a schedule, because I just wandered around and enjoyed the plush carpets and all of the crazy things they had set up at their booths.
Totally. And there's snacks. There's always snacks.
Mm-hmm.
You don't
snacks,
always have
soda,
to. Yeah,
t-shirts.
You don't always have to get lunch or breakfast. And stay hydrated. That's the other thing. Drink water in every booth you go to. If they're handing out water, keep a water bottle with you. These are
Activision usually has pizza, soda, and charging stations.
Yeah. They didn't have pizza last year. 2 years ago they did.
It's
Last year they scaled it down. Yeah. I remember one year Activision had this huge pizza party. Actually, it was funny. It may have been that year or the year before. Maybe it was the year before. I just happened to walk in my appointment. I was there early, and it was when all the PR folks and all the booth folks are having lunch. So they brought out all these pizzas for everybody there, and they were like awesome gourmet pizzas. But they were strictly for the Activision folks that were working the booth.
It was California pizzas, I think.
Yeah, right. And so, but they were good. They were so good, and I was there early, so
were they good, Dan?
Pierre at Vipco was like, you know what, just have a seat, have some pizza since you're here early, just enjoy yourself. There's some, there's water and soft drinks over there. I'm like, all right, I'm here early, I'm gonna, chow down. But all right, let's put a cap on it. That's a good hour and a half of awesome stuff. E3, it's here, it's finally here. We're just a couple days away, guys. Everyone's excited. This is like Christmas. It's like the previews. The 20 minutes of previews at the movie theater, it's like almost more enjoyable than the actual movie that you're going to see, right? All right, everybody, thank you again so much. Please subscribe to us on iTunes. Subscribe to our YouTube page. Visit the brand new redesigned website, which we're still making tweaks to, but much more responsive, and I promise it won't crash as much. It's prettier. That's a good thing. Much more readable, less clutter. Check out the website. Go to... Yes, thank you. Go to SideQuesting.com. Visit us on Twitter at SideQuesting on Twitter. We're SideQuesting on or SideQuesting TV on Twitch. And let's talk about where they can find us. You can find me at Dolly Demovsky on Twitter. Cool Rats on Twitch. Where can they find you, Dan?
At Dan Hevia on Twitter, and Project 510 on Twitch.
Robin, where can they find you?
At A Robin Miller on Twitter, and that's Robin with a Y, and then Falcon I Formed on Twitch.
Excellent. Sam?
Sam DI79 on Twitter, and again, I still don't Twitch that often, so we'll leave that off.
Twitch.com/Twitch.
Yes.
Tom, where can they find you?
I'm on Twitter at that Tom Johnson, and I'm on Twitch at Probably Tuna.
All right, I still love the name. Probably. And please visit. We have the party list up on Twitch. Again, it's just an awesome networking guide. There's charity events in there. That's one of the best things about E3 is there's actually a lot of cool events that take place around the event. Visit the Facebook group. Just do a search for E3 party list. A lot of awesome people. We were giving away games the other day. There's a lot of developers and PR in there that just love to give away stuff because everybody that's in there is there for a great time, and we're there for networking. So that is it, folks. E3 is here. I'm excited. You're excited. We'll see you next time. I'm sure we'll be talking about E3. Who knows? We might even hear from Dan and Tom over the next week on their.
If we survive.
If you survive.
Let's do some dumb stuff at E3.
Yeah, Dan, I want to hear Dan and Tom just do like a Dan and Tom dumb stuff show. We both here on the show floor, just saying stupid things.
Let's grab some cameras and make some really dumb content.
An unsurvival guide.
Exactly, yeah. All right, everybody. We'll see you on the next side quest. Thank you, and E3!
Woo!